Hey there, folks. You getting that trolling feeling? Tired of that Guildhall bar nights? Want to throw in that extra special touch? Do you not like when the adventure is going and want to liven up the party? If this is you, then come on down to RPer's Ranch House of Trolling Tricks. We've got everything you need for that special moment to let your troll light shine. Maybe it's the Guildhall floor show, or the new guy who smells like the lunch. We got it all, from how to steal the attention starter kit, to seek, and the troll self-help book. But don't just take my words for it. Listen to me list of happy customers.
Oh, thanks, Gourmand. Ever since I bought the attention starter kit, I have been the life of the party. Yes, all the girls want to be me, and all the guys grovel at my feet. Better yet, no one dares infringe on my events.
I bought my trolling pony kit from Direfield Trolls Trolling Tricks, and I can say firsthand, I have single-handedly derailed the officer's planned RP adventure, made the villain look like a sickly froglock, and best yet, I went home with the guild officer's main squeeze. Thanks, Gourmand. You're the best, mate. I gotta go lean on a wall now.
When my cousin, Hot Jessica, told me about Direfield Ranch House of Tricks, I was skeptical. But, I tried the free 3-week fake it till you make it troll trial kit, and I have never been happier. It's, awesome. I went from this timid RPer, I know, right? And to having my own gang of followers who bow to my every whim. Thanks, Gourmand.
There you has it. From a few of me happy customers. So come on down to the Direfield House of Trolling Tricks. Gourmand guarantee we got the trolling kit for you.
Product results may vary, not intended for long-term RP solution. If RP problems persist beyond 3 weeks, see your local guild counselor for help. Direfield's Ranch House of Trolling Tricks is not responsible for being banned, shunned, and or removed from your guild. Direfield's Ranch of House of Trolling Tricks is an LLC subsidiary of Direfield Industries. All rights reserved.
You're listening to RPMMO Radio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei. Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello there, role players. Welcome to RPMMO Radio, episode 98, Not My Roleplay Trolling. I, of course, am your host, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is most of the crew, Jazz, Sib, and Strafe has appeared.
Straffa.
Strafafafa.
I'll take it.
Of course, do this every Saturday, except for when we don't. Usually it's the last weekend of the month. Sometimes it's not. We do it 3 times out of the month. So over at twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. Follow us there. Subscribe. Like. Hit the bell. It might be YouTube. I don't know anymore. They're all blending together into a mishmash of global conspiracy. But, or go to rpmradio.com/Discord, join our Discord server, and you too can call in the show if you would like to during the live program. Just go to the caller waiting room, and somebody will be with you to make sure that, you're not a 3-year-old wanting to talk about, I don't know,
3-year-old Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something like that, and then also that your mic works, because that's kind of important on a talk radio show, as it turns out. Isn't it, Strafe? Isn't it?
It is. It is.
You guys may notice how much sexier Strafe sounds now that he has a real official big boy mic.
It's true.
See,
It's also true.
Listen to those deep basal tones.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, he's still single. Just saying.
True story.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have some breaking news, however.
Uh-oh.
We successfully extracted Gormal out of the office without him seeing the break room and or breaking into the vending machine.
That's
Now, we
always
will
a
have
good
to pay
day.
Hot Jessica. I mean, she kind of
Yeah, the thing is, though, is no matter what,
lured him out.
no matter what happens, though, the trail of slime he leaves behind on everything he touches is about $1,000 per cubic foot.
Right, but it was only the entry hall.
Yeah.
We set the mic up in there, so it's the tile
Yeah,
floor.
he touched the
Why
chair.
are we going to pay
He's in
Hot
the chair.
Jessica? I thought him or Gormal and her had a thing going on.
Well, we paid
Yeah, we
her,
pay her to do
run
that.
interference to keep him in the front
Oh.
room, and then he left. Then she
Yeah,
Is
left.
that
someone
what
like
we're
her
calling
is-
it these days?
Well, you know,
It's a pay to play.
it is what it is.
Hey, if it's
You
good
like-
enough
you
for
like loot
MMOs,
boxes,
it's good
right?
enough for Hot Jessica. Let's just, from now on, we're going to call all prostitutes pay to play. That's it. It's an MMO term.
actually-
EA has
yeah.
already crowned it. They're going to have prostitutes everywhere in Vegas, and they're going to say it's not a prostitute, it's just a pay to play lady.
And the loot boxes. You,
That
you
is-
open a door and you see what you got in there.
That's right.
I feel like there's an ad coming up. soon with this.
I have a feeling that the fun thing is which, by the way, this will be 4 episodes till we close down shop here and revamp it to a different show, but we'll be able to do
Sadness.
much broader video game and like TV and movie related ads, and there's going to be a world of hurt coming to a lot of EA specifically. I've got
yes. We're looking
and
at
Todd
you and your trollery, EA, and we know you bought the kits from Direfears, and we know
Mm-hmm.
which ones you bought.
and Todd Howard coming
He
at
bought
you,
them
bud.
too.
Yeah, he used to be a god among developers, but you know what? Yeah, this has not been a good year for Bethesda. Hey, Sib,
What?
how much fun was it playing Fallout 76 when that glitch they introduced for over a week and a half that took all your armor off of your
Let's not talk
suit?
about that.
Yeah, that was a week and a half they let that thing go and she couldn't play.
Oh my god! Every time I would log in. Okay, this thing was so irritating. Because like me, I have probably 8 sets of power suits
Mhm.
with armor, all different kinds of armor. I collect things like that. So every time I'd log in, all my armor would be in my inventory on my person.
Yeah.
And my power suits would be in my bag. I would go get them, try to put the armor on them, and every time I would put it back in my inventory, the armor would come off. So
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
you were stuck. Okay, because like me, I have you have 800 items in your bank.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have 600 items in my bank right now.
Pounds.
Or yeah,
Pounds.
600.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put any of the armor in there.
Yeah, because if you put it on the armor, it weighs a total of 10. And if,
Yeah, so
and
so I
if
couldn't
not,
put it-
each individual piece weighs like, what, 10 to 20, 15,
Yeah.
something like that?
So you're sitting there, you're holding all this armor, which, okay, 8 sets. You have a helmet, 2 arms, and 2 legs. A torso. Okay, you got
Torso,
6
yeah.
pieces for 8 sets. Oh my God. You can't move.
Yeah, you're like over
You can't-
1,000
you can't
pounds.
move. You can't put it in your bank. So you're just stuck where you're at. You're just like, what do I do?
Mhm.
Call it
Can't-
the great loot fat bug.
And you can't teleport because you're overweight. So
Yeah.
everything's a
You're
slog.
just stuck. And you walk, and it's like walking in so slow-mo because you've got so much weight. I'm done.
Boop. There we go. Oh, I forgot to do something. I forgot to put the thing off of the waiting
Yeah,
screen.
I patched it
there.
when I heard you talking about this, and I'm like, I do not dare log in.
Yeah, she tried, and it was just like, it was
I gave up.
my wife, the sailor hour.
No, what Ashton interrupted me on, when you pick your armor up, it just all comes off, all the or your power suit, when you pick it up to put it in your inventory, all your armor just comes right back off, and so you're just stuck doing it again. and the minute you pick it up, or it comes, because in 60 seconds it comes back to you, it comes all off again. But it is fixed now.
Yeah.
And it's good. I've logged in
Mhm.
since.
I talked to my lead artist at work, and he said that was a day one 76 bug that creeped back in. Apparently,
Oh,
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Yeah,
it was
Yep.
I
annoying.
do remember that. But at the time, none of us were anywhere near having power
That's
armor, so
true.
we missed out on it. But I did. You're right. I do remember hearing about that now. You're way to and it. What was crazy is it when she hadn't logged in right after the patch, so it was like a week later already, and that's when she said it. And so I looked it up, and all the threads of it had started from the last patch, which had been over a week and a half before, and they still hadn't fixed it. Great
shameful
Whoopini,
display.
it has in a lot of ways, but sometimes they take, one step forward and 3 steps back, and then they'll step forward again. He asked if Fallout 76 redeemed itself yet. What do you guys are the bigger players than I am. What do you
I
think?
still enjoy it. I haven't been able to play a lot this last several months because of baseball, but I still enjoy it when I'm able to log in.
It's
I'm
fun with your
hoping-
friends. We're about
Yeah.
to get the Wastelander NPCs coming in,
Mhm.
so wait for that.
Yeah,
But if you
I
wanna
think
goof
that's
off
a
with
good
your friends,
idea.
it's still fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it is a fun. The battle royale you guys seem to have enjoyed, and it can be a fun game, but it is. I mean, it's Bethesda, so you have to understand, like almost like any MMO or expansion from an MMO. The second they do an update, they break 15 other things.
Yes.
It
bugs
or
will be
Jazz
there.
just says no,
I don't even play it anymore.
but she doesn't
It's
like
just-
those type of games, so her opinion doesn't matter. Also, she's a woman.
So is
I'm
your
a woman.
wife.
Yeah, but she's not a woman. She's my wife. That's totally different.
You're gonna get
Must
stabbed.
have
I'm gonna
changed
laugh.
status. I see how that works.
Yeah, that's totally different. That's a totally totally different.
And I had fun.
Dang.
It was just so buggy.
It
and,
really is. Yeah.
and I couldn't play as much as I wanted to. You guys zoomed ahead of me, and then I started playing with my husband on occasion, and he was like, what, 12, 14? And
Mentally or
so-
physically?
So I was
Sorry, Jay. She did open it,
running
but-
around with him to keep him alive and
right.
trying to let him kill things rather than me, because I would just decimate anything
One-shot
that he
him,
tried
yeah.
to touch, So-
Yeah, it's hard to. As we found out from Strafe, that kind of power leveling is just not wanted in most places.
Apparently not.
So
But
what
I'll
I
say-
ended up doing is essentially he would run ahead and he would do all kinds of things, and I would only kill things if he got in trouble.
Yeah, because if you that one especially, if you don't get at least a shot that does damage in, it's get squat.
The only time I think that I did anything actively, I would just use my sword.
Yeah,
Pro tip for that game: you don't need friends. Just go out and do stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
really.
I got a ridiculous amount of levels. I would hang out with Sib sometimes, but most of the time I was running around, lurking
Yeah,
around
most of my
myself.
levels came from just playing in the
Yeah.
world and the quests and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a weird hybrid of not an MMO, but not it's kind of that.
It's like it's Tor. It's a
persistent
hybrid between a
world.
single player and an MMO.
Yeah, like and also like the Division and Destiny and things like that. They call it a persistent world role play or multiplayer, because it's not role play. There's no role play in it really. I mean, there can be. We did it once. It
was fun, but it
was,
required us to do it in voice.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, role play. It's a thing we do. I actually had some this week. Can you believe it?
Well,
I know.
cool.
Outstanding.
But since we don't start with me, it doesn't matter what I did. Jazz, I know you've had a kind of a crap week. Did you? I don't know if you did anything
that's
early
an
on.
understatement.
Yeah,
But
I know you've been around at least in the evenings now and again.
I have been role playing because it helps keep my mind off of things. Let's see. I missed Tuesday, I think.
Mhm.
I can give you a reminder.
Did I miss Tuesday? No, I think I was there.
That was the poetry night, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
You were there for poetry night.
I was
Good
there for
night.
poetry
I don't
night.
think
And
I
then
had
My life hit frappe on Wednesday. Whoops. Well, guess what I forgot to do?
Pull!
And
Oh, shit, I gotta do the same thing. I'm gonna make fun of you, and it's gonna hear Goku's teleport. There we go. All right.
anyway,
go.
so what was I saying?
You were talking
Role
about
play.
Wednesday hit frappe
Thank you.
and roleplay.
Oh yeah, Wednesday. Well, actually, Thursday was frappe. Wednesday was just a blender.
Mm.
Things went from bad to worse from Wednesday to Thursday. I did roleplay a little bit, and I got some roleplay in with Jill Vallis, which is Strayface character on Cial. And I have had a lot of development roleplay going on, and I even got some writing done this week, which I'm going to read for Cial and the developing storyline with that. So,
Cool.
let's see. This is part 7 of the cat's deal. Cial walked toward the temple and began to feel his effect in her mind, a bug-like hum that quickly became vaguely annoying, and her feet slowed. She paused, just outside of his reach, listening to the hum as her mind went back to that fateful day. Her weary eyes swept the marsh as she leaned against a tree, gripping the bloody, infested wound in her side. Her entire right side was steeped in blood and infection, oozing from the wounds there, from her head to her neck to her shoulders to the one on her side. She thought as she looked down at herself that her legs were bleeding too, but it was too covered to tell. She winced softly at the pain that rattled to her core as she pushed herself back into walking. The child was battered from head to toe, covered in bruises, welts, and bites from bugs and creatures over the last week of flight into the marsh. She never slowed and kept running, sure she heard the Dunmer coming for her. She didn't stop to eat or drink, save for a few bugs and some fetid water that made her belly ache and her stools run. She stopped caring a while ago, coated in blood and other disgusting things. Didn't matter much when you were wading through rancid green. She saw the temples a while ago and had been staggering toward them, mistaking them for actual buildings. As she neared, she sobbed, realizing they were, like every other time before, ruins. Then the hum started. She looked up and around, trying to find where it was coming from. In her state, sounds meant people, and people meant food or death, and either was welcome at this point. She began to stagger toward the sound, a far temple leaning into the muck. It took all her reserves to find a way over the wall, and she landed hard, pain making her pass out cold for a while. When she came to, the hum was so loud it hurt her brain. However, there was a makeshift camp near where she landed, obviously lost in time, and she crawled to it holding her side with her broken arm and using her good arm to keep her moving. She took some time to start the fire, gathering dried old moss around the tree to get the fire going. As it smoked and sputtered, she lay down near it and drifted to sleep. She woke with a start, feeling of drug disorientation puzzling her. She looked down and realized she was laying in a pool of fetid blood, and her eyes focused on the white specks. Maggots. Fantastic. She shook her head, trying to rid herself of the hum, but it persisted, gnawing its way into her brain. She left the camp and staggered across the water-laden path to where the ancient tree reached up to the sky. She fell to her knees at the roots and looked up to see its majestic beauty. It occurred to her that the bark was likely edible, and she licked it. Her tongue tingled and it went faintly numb, but her hunger welled. She began to lick at the sap covering the bark and chew, claw at the bark itself, making the sap flow. It made her belly hurt less and her head hurt even less. She looked down and noticed the vines as they curled around her feet, glowing faintly in a sickly blue-green. She blinked slowly, unsure of what was happening, and then everything went dark. With a sigh, Cial moved closer to the temple and allowed the hum into her inner mind. She felt his annoyance and his hunger as he moved to embrace her mental being. She resisted and pushed him away. He responded with a growl and a demand. Morak is hungry. She kept walking, pushing the feel of his grip out of her mind gently, but firmly. We need to talk first, and then I will feed you. She moved over the wall into the tree, dumping the half-dead fairies at the roots where they were quickly devoured. Now we talk. To be continued.
Boom, boom, boom.
The end.
The end. Well, sort of.
Ish. Except for the to be
Ish.
continued part.
Yeah. continued part, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, well, since we'll stick with ESO. What about you, Straffa?
Well, we had an interesting time at Poetry Hour. A lot less folks this time, so we kind of hung out at the bar, and then eventually moved it over to the stage. We got a new guy. He was interesting. That's a tale for a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But Trath wisely stayed home, as Voley told him, "Don't get out. You've already made a fool of yourself. You can't even stand up straight. You need to stay home and rest." So he tried. He got orc strong armed, and he's like, "I'm done." And then he got the dirty look, so he wrote Trajan a letter and sent it on. So Trajan Valerius sneaked into his wife's bar. So check this place out. I got this note from Lord Fancy Pants himself said I could host his little old Mary's hour. Let's do that. So I'm sitting there, messing with the bar. Romeo rolls up. And I asked, "What can I get you, bud?" Craziest thing happened. He asked for lemonade. I looked at him and said, "Lemonade? You mean to tell me you came all the way to this bar to get some fruity frou-frou drink?" He persisted. I poured it for him. I then got accused of being some kind of imposter if he sniffed the air real strange like. Not sure what's going on in that Red Guard's head, but I just looked at him and said, "Hey, man, whatever you say." Kept drinking my dark beer. They all pulled in. All the rest of the folks started showing up. Normal crew. Well, I read some poems. There's a Khajiit that looked like he was high-strung and looked like stiff wind could blow him over. But he sat in the back, didn't bother nobody. The wife never showed up, but Romeo's little plaything, pet, I don't know what he calls her. I'm going to call it his main squeeze. She showed up. And everybody was jolly. I was kind of flirting. And of course, Romeo, for whatever reason, once again said, "Let me remind you, Trajan, that you are married to our boss, and I don't think she'd appreciate that very much." I tell you, I looked at him and I said, "You know what, son? A, you just said I was married. You just ruined my game with a zero Phoenix girl. B, see, the goal is to make Kia angry. Because once she's angry, as I explained to Romeo, she gets aggressive. It's the aggressive part I like, because then she crawls in the tub. And I'll say no more if that gentleman never, Gentle Imperial never tells. But it's good, I'll say that. So, I slung some drinks. We did the poetry. On my way out, I think Romeo was finally getting it, because he ordered a dark ale, and he seemed like he was getting it. I don't know how. Maybe he just had an off day. But he recommended, "Hey, let me have my pet give you a kiss on the cheek. You go home with that big old lipstick on." I said, "Heck yeah, put that on me. That'll cause all kinds of pain and suffering, and I'm ready for it." So I got my kiss and I waltzed out the door, all the way to Kia's house. Later in that same evening, Jail decided he needed to talk to his apprentice. And what better way to talk to his apprentice? You go to one of the many warded houses. It was almost like a doorbell. It worked every time. So like he often did, he opened up a portal, deposited himself into Valenwood, and walked through the small villa door. No less, he had just got there than Sia showed up. It was raining out and it was storming. He could feel her back there slip through the gate soundlessly. To which I said, "You were right on time, Sia." She hissed, said, "What are you doing here? Why are you in Trask's house?" "I'm here to see you. Now come, let us go inside before we catch our death." So in we went. She remained scared. Scared is too fine a word. She was on edge. I don't know why she wants to stab me. I'm really honestly for her benefit. She will see this in time. To which I explained. She kept being accusatory, much like my daughter Kia. But after a time, I said, "Come now. You're going to stand there waiting for me to do something. Or are you actually going to sit down like civilized folk and have a conversation? There will be a story. Of this perked her interest greatly, so she followed me over, sat near the fire, furthest away she could. And I told her a small story about an half-alien Bosmer woman living on the edge of the forest that happened upon a alien lord. Suffice to say, this story enraptured her. And after the story was over, she made all kinds of claims about, oh, well, you have to be this and you have to be that. And I calmly looked at her and said, well, I suppose I could change my nickname, but I'll still be me. This set her off the trail, as well as my regaling her with tales of my brother flipping out at his poetry hour and being the aggressor. He was quite beside himself. It was almost delicious watching him be berated, act the zealot as I knew he would. Anyway, the talk of my daughter and perhaps meeting her again seemed to set her back off balance, which is the point. She seems more malleable now. She accused me of leaving her. I did tell her, these are lessons upon lessons. You had to learn these the hard way, or no way at all. And I was always there. And I told her, did I not send Dim to train you in the next step? Did I not send this? Did you not find my brother to teach you to read and write? Oh, and to heal you at that time you almost died in the gorge. Things she did not consider, which she is now considering. And she was much more pleasant as the night ended. Suffice to say, she left peacefully, as did I. And I explained to her, she is of noble birth, and if she stays the course, she will be rewarded greatly. The end! For now.
Very well done.
Yeah. Oh, how about you, Sibs? Anything we can do this week?
No, I don't have anything this week.
There was one comment Jail did make. I did forget this part.
Oh.
While he was singing out, and this is just an aside to make the Sibs bristle. He sat down and looked at Sia and made a point to look around and said, I see he's redecorated. Seems he let some orc in here. What could he be thinking? Anyway, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I will want to read that.
What?
Read what?
What he just read.
I think he made that off the top of his head.
I will hurt you. Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Yeah, that's what he does.
I will, however, write you up. Finish one story and finish the second story and then write you something new.
Or you could just, if you go back and listen to the podcast later, you could just type it out yourself because you type 5,000 words a minute. You could just do it as he's typing.
So what'd you do in roleplay, Sibbies? Before Jazz kills me.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, and I was kind of keeping an eye out for a guild, and I happened to see one spamming a zone, which of course is always the best way to find a guild. Not usually, but it sounded interesting. It was, I'm probably going to mispronounce part of it, St. Renee's or Renette's University and Orphanage. It's a strange combination, but I kind of liked what they put a link of to a Word document about what they are about, and I kind of liked it. It's like a university and an orphanage thing. It's actually my character Raylan Sepher there before. He's a shinobi, a ninja, obviously. And he was actually a kind of a teacher in a garden, which for those of you Final Fantasy fans know the gardens are from Final Fantasy IX, but they've cropped up a lot in Final Fantasy 14 as like training centers of combat and things like that. But I was just kind of going along with that, and they seem like good people. Still in the process of getting in there, as I said last week. I've actually had some role play with them. They had a history lesson in one of the zones, and I just, acted as though I had stumbled on it and asked if I could join, and they were wary, but they let him tag along, and then he talked with the headmistress afterwards, and
mentioned that he might be interested if they have a position open, and they don't actually have anybody training in combat and martial arts and things like that. So since I've always enjoyed that and he's good at it, it seems like a good fit. But I was gonna started doing the interview with him, but it started really late, and I had to get to bed because I'm old, and also driving around in a mail truck when you're tired and running over people's children tends to be frowned on. So they seem like a good bunch. I did like one thing in the middle of it. So the head chick had to pause and then like, hold on, be right back, and then they came back, and apparently it was some drama with some ERP person that they refused to let into the guild, and they were throwing a hissy fit, it seemed like, and they were having to deal with that real quick, which made me like it even more, because that's pretty much how all that ERP stuff tends to go, is ends in hissy fits and pains in the butt. So that really endeared me to him even more, and all the people I've met are... the roleplay in Final Fantasy is very different, I've realized. It's... a lot of the people, at least in this guild, they're a lot more descriptive. It takes a little longer to type things out, but it's not wasted words at the same time. It seems like I like it. I kind of dig it. It's a different feel than some of the stuff that has been around for quite some time. It's just a different kind of community, like we did in the last episode about different communities. But going through there, I did find something I had wrote out about 3 years ago on him. I'll go ahead and read it. It's kind of a journal entry. If I remember right, he actually had gone to a Lullafell, which are the little potato people, trying to get information. And his whole theme is he's a cowboy shinobi. He's a ninja, but he's got kind of that cowboy feel to him. So this is Unspeakable Things, and this is him going back to the information broker after having given him somebody to find. 2 days came and went, as they tend to, regardless of how much you got to do. So I found myself once more in Uldal, on the step of the information broker Lullafell Trendo. Knock, knock. Knock, knock again. Waiting. Nothing. You little piece of... If he wasn't so good at what he did, I put my ear to the door and couldn't hear anything inside, and I didn't see any candles or lighting through the grimy window. He stood me up. All I could do was wait, so, sitting down on the step and setting my bag down beside me, I did just that. Really wishing I'd thought to bring a book. I should have known the little prick would pull something like this. There I waited, and waited, and waited some more, until 2 hours later, I heard shuffling. But not from outside, no. This was from inside. Oh, he'd better not have. Standing, I turned and banged on the door with a closed fist, hard enough to shake some of the grime off the windows. A lock inside clicked, and the door swung in. He stood yawning and rubbing his eyes. What are you banging for? Jeez, I heard you the first time. Grinding my teeth, I pushed past him and into the small room. Blankets disheveled on a cot not more than 10 feet from the door. Yeah, I was out there for 2 hours, Trendo. My ass has been outside waiting for you to get in here for 2 hours. And you were in here the whole time? Yeah, well, I fell back asleep. You don't get good looks like these without plenty of rest. Besides, it wasn't easy to get what you wanted, and a bit of waiting does you some good. After all, you banged up my god. There was an impish smirk curled around his waxed mustache as he twirled it. He actually twirled it, like some storybook villain, hand to gods. I took a deep breath, let it out. In that case, your bonus might just have lost interest in you unless you tell me now and stop wasting more of my time. This got his attention. Far be it from him to lose out on his perverted little fantasies. Grumbling, he waddled over the table and a leather folder of papers. You better not stiff me on that. We had a deal. Yeah, information first. I always hold up my end. Let's see what you do. Guy you're looking for goes by the name of Heptus. Here, right outside the city. deals in all kinds of underground things, and considers himself something of an inventor as well. Word is, he's trading with them for compounds from old battlefields the Garleans were fighting on and about. He gives them supplies and stuff, or anything they find of interest. It's all right here. I even managed to match up the writing of the paper you gave me to some of his own. He's your man. Sliding the folder across the table, looked through it. The writing was pretty close. Exact even when looking at the same letters. Address, name, description. Perfect. Just what the Wrens need to find out the next step into that contraption they found, and maybe even its creator. If it was indeed the inventor, time would tell. Perfect. Consider one of your favors repaid. Turning, I waved to him with the folder, and there was a loud clearing of his throat. Right, bonus. Hold on. She's just outside, actually. Can't say how energetic she'll be since you made us wait 2 hours, though. That's on you, mate. Tucking the folder away in my long coat's inner pocket, I stepped outside and picked up the lightweight leather bag I'd left on the step. It wiggled and squeaked slightly. Turning, I lifted the flap and removed a dark, coated female kitten. As promised. His expression? Priceless. There was stuttering and spluttering as the little black ball of fluff and fury jumped out of my hands near the ground and ran shining eyes on a perfect wax cookie duster of his lip. You said it was a Makoto that'd do. Ow! She jumped up and dug her claws into his leg and climbed up to his chest, where his arms instinctively grabbed hold of the kitten, giving it free rein to bat at his mustached lip. No, I promised you, quote, a cat girl ready and willing to do unspeakable things right here in the office for you as long as you wanted. Well, she's female. I found her out in the desert a few days ago, abandoned in a bag on the side of the road. She doesn't speak, so whatever she does to you will be, well, unspoken. Likely, that'll just be a lot of playing with string and eating, but hey, I kept my word. That's not what I had in mind, and you damn well knew it, he protested, as he held the kitten by the scruff of her neck at arm's length, eyeing her. That mean you don't want her? I can put her back where I found her if you don't. The scowl I got could have peeled paint off the walls as he clutched her to his chest. Well, not a monster. Banded, you say? Fine, I'll keep her. Poor thing's been in a bag all day as it is. Just get lost already. I don't want to see you again anytime soon. You understand me? Loud and clear, Tendo. Loud and clear. I shut the door behind me, but not before seeing just before I closed. Him rubbing his cheek against the top of her head. The end! Yeah, he was
That was
a
a good
fun
one,
guy.
man.
Yeah.
The end.
Very
Yeah.
nicely done.
Yay, I know how to read. Public education at its best.
Excellent.
But yeah, he's a fun character. I'm kind of looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. Been enjoying the story. But so let's go on to the main topic, and that is being trolled by role players. It happens, and it sucks. And we've excuse me while I burp quietly into the
It
microphone.
happens more often than not.
Especially lately, I've noticed it seems to be a unfortunate
It's
trend.
everywhere right
Yeah.
now. It's ridiculous, and it's in every game I
Oh
play.
yeah, it's not. It's just the. I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't know if it's the. Me first way of so many people that their mindset
Well, when
these
they're
days.
not in the mood to role play, they troll role players because they think it's funny
Yeah,
and fun.
or they think they're just having a good old time, and oh, you're just you need to lighten up. And yet at the same time, if you did the same thing to them and told them the same thing, they.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, angry
So,
cat.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about trolls, but we'll go back so we kind of get all on the same page. And so
This is a
those
special
sad,
form of troll.
yeah,
Trolls are the sad, lonely people that find enjoyment in harassing other people for no reason other than they can, and those are the non-roleplay trolls typically. Then those are the ones, they bounce on the table, they lay across your lap and wiggle their butt in their face.
They throw mud balls at you.
Throw mud balls, which thanks every game for putting in something that you can't not have interact with you. As some sort of EverQuest 2 did it too with the snowballs, and I think they did. Although I will say the fruitcake one was kind of funny because throwing fruitcakes is, it's the only thing they're good for, really.
True story.
I mean,
True.
yeah. But so
Not wrong.
Recap on what we think of trolls here. Anyone that purposely and knowingly interrupts roleplay, the bouncing around, standing in you, challenging you to duels. Pretending to, and the newer one too is pretending to be an RPer, then being just ridiculous about it, that kind of thing. That last one, that's, it's always kind of been around, but I've noticed that last version of trolling is definitely on the rise. Like those, what were
It's
those?
definitely on the rise.
Those, like those ERP shamers that we talked about several episodes ago, that were ERPing with other ERPers and then posting the entire thing and their the log entirely and making fun of them on YouTube. Like that there was beyond even trolling. That actually kind of went into predatory.
That's
Yeah.
malicious
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point.
You're not really to catch a predator at that point. You're just being a dick, especially because it was supposed to be consenting adults. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. But those are the kind of trolls we're all familiar with. Those, if you've been role playing for more than a week, you've already probably ran into them. It just is the way of the world. It's the way of the internet. I mean, you can't even talk on anything these days without being trolled, whether it's role play or not. And also, you can't make a joke anymore on the internet without someone trying to take it seriously and show their superior intellect.
And then, if they carry it too far, they try to destroy your lives because unhappy people.
Unhappy people love making other people unhappy because apparently misery does love company.
It does.
And that's what they're
wasn't
going
it-
for.
We were talking about, a couple weeks ago, how comedy
Yeah.
is becoming a thing of the past because you can't do comedy really and not offend somebody.
Yeah, because that's the whole point of comedy is to be
Like the
offensive.
Equalizer.
Yeah.
What was it you were telling me that was it a dwarf was
Yeah.
in trouble
yeah.
for
Yeah, there's a
saying
comedian.
jokes about his how he is, and other dwarves or little people got mad and started protesting him.
His name is Brad Williams. He's a midget. I'm going to say because that's what he called himself. And so he's a midget. He makes little people jokes, midget jokes, dwarf jokes, and there was the he also calls himself a wharf, which is a dwarf whore. I love him. He's hilarious. He's like I said, Brad Williams. But he was doing a comedy thing, and out in front, a bunch of other little people were out there protesting him, and he went out there like, guys, what's going on? He's like, we don't like your comedy. Well, why? He's like, because you call us midgets, and we're not midgets. We're dwarves. And he's like, the fuck? Which one sounds worse to you guys? Dwarf? Which makes you think of Lord of the Rings and Follow the Yellow Brick Road or midget. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He said, I think it's something along the lines of, but it's okay. An SUV pulled up and blocked the entire protest. But,
SUV for the win.
But, it's that kind of thing. Or recently, Dave Chappelle was criticized for not being woke enough in doing black jokes, which was funny because the white reporter is telling the black guy he can't do black jokes for not being woke enough.
Oh, the
Holy
irony
cow.
of ironies.
Right. But
It's just out of control.
and it's given it's one idiot reporter and the whole woke thing. If you use the term woke, just turn off. Just tuck in for the rest of the day. Consider your life choices. You're using
So
the
role
term
play,
wrong.
and yes, those are
Yeah.
real life.
But
roleplay.
but yeah, those the trolls and stuff. It's just awful. And I
I lost my train of thought. But anyway,
They're everywhere.
they're everywhere, and it's just the people are they get so sensitive about that stuff these days, and it's ridiculous.
We were talking about comedy.
Yeah, for comedy, and the problem with this is kind of like with comedy, where you should know it's comedy. If you're gonna be offended by something Dave Chappelle says, and you're aware of who Dave Chappelle or Daniel Tosh, who is extraordinarily offensive but also equally hilarious. If you go to if you watch their stuff and you're offended, stop going. It's not you
Don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's okay. You can walk
Turn
away.
it off.
Yeah.
There's an off button. There really is. Use it.
Imagine if they did that stuff with Richard Pryor and Sam Kinison and
Oh
George.
my God.
Uh,
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
It's worth
Oh my
noting. I was
God.
going to say that that
The
director,
new sheriff is gone. Yeah, you don't get away
Mel
with that
Brooks,
anymore.
could not make a single thing today, and that would be a travesty.
No.
Oh, I will say, you say that too, but I'm curious to see how this is received. Tika Watiki, I forget. His name is so hard to pronounce or remember. The guy that did Thor Ragnarok, and is going to do the next Thor movie. He has a movie coming out where it's during Nazi Germany, and this kid he's playing Hitler, and a kid is picked on by the other Hitler youth, and this is a comedy, and he has an imaginary Hitler that follows him around and is like trying to help him be the best he can be at being a Hitler youth. It looks absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait to see it. It looks like that. It actually looks funny, and I know it doesn't glorify Nazism by any way. But like his little Hitler's like, yeah, people they used to they're making fun of me, Adolf, and he's like, oh yeah, people used to make fun of me too. They'd say, oh, that guy's crazy, he's a weirdo. What you gonna do? I'm
gosh.
really curious. Yeah, I know it's I forget.
It sounds
what
like
it
some
was
dark
called.
humor for sure.
Very dark humor. Very dark humor. I mean, of course, the kids at the Hitler Youth, it shows them throwing knives. In the very first scene, the fat kid throws it. It bounces off the thing and hits the other kid in the leg and sticks.
That's his name.
Tika Watiti. Thank you.
Yeah. I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's. I love him. He's the guy. He also in Thor. He's the guy that voiced the rock guy in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
I love
Thor. New Master 69 called me a dickhead again. That guy. Yeah. So
He's my favorite.
yeah, he was so great. But it's
So roleplay trolls,
right, roleplay trolls. But
way in the weeds.
the thing is with regular trolls, it's easy. We know what they are. We ignore them. It's no big deal. It really isn't anymore. You might every now and then you get somebody that's new to it and they engage with them and you're like, do not engage, pull up, Maverick, pull up,
Back away.
Yeah. But
you do not have authority for a flyby.
that's right. Which I'm looking forward to the new Maverick Top Gun movie. That does look good. Beside the point, before we get off of the weeds again, fairly simple, really, ignoring them. But what happens when it isn't your average troll? What do you do when it's a fellow role player? Someone that you know RPs regularly and even well, but suddenly seems to be trolling you. So we do know that there is a new breed of troll that pretends to be a role player. Then they're like, and then I put my coconut in my butt. And you're like, oh, okay, so you're
My wizard hat on.
right, yeah, okay, so you're just trolling. But then there's the ones that are like, for example, in your guild, and all of a sudden they rolled up. This is just for instance, they rolled up two Argonians, one named Golden Showers, I think it was, and something else, and they're all greased up, and they're running around the temple of I don't know, we'll just say of a tribunal, and causing problems, and everyone's trying to catch them and stop them. Yet everything they do, it can't be, because they're greased up, God mod their way out of it and like get out of the grasp. And they were having a great old time, and they were saying in their guild chat like, "Oh, ha ha ha! I'm laughing my ass off over here." Meanwhile, the people that had their roleplay interrupt and are having to deal with this stupidity are not having fun and are saying, "Come on, guys, fine. If we catch them, we're going to kill them." Well, we don't want them killed. We rolled them up so we could play them over and over again. It's like, well,
Then, and at that point, like that, 5 people all chasing them just stopped, walked away, and went back to what they were doing, pissed off that they just got interrupted for somebody that was an officer, by the way, that should have known better, but they thought they were having fun. Nobody else was. What's that?
Can I? Jess said something.
I thought so.
I said Jiminy.
Jiminy.
Yeah. Jiminy. Can I ask, did those Argonians ever get brought out again?
They did a couple times, and I think after that initial thing, there was almost no more interaction with them. I think everybody was just like, nope, we're done. And didn't do anything else with them.
Well, yeah, when they tell you that, they're, going to be free to do whatever they want and you can't kill them, there's literally no point at that point in pursuing anything with them.
Especially when one of them's an officer as well, which that person should have known better and not been doing something so douchey. And everyone else is like, yeah, we're not laughing or having fun. You just interrupted our thing. We thought maybe, if this was going to be an actual thing where we can interact with them and do our jobs as the characters are supposed to do, which would be you're defiling a sacred temple by running around like an idiot, then maybe we could have had some fun. But you just slipping out and, naming yourself Golden Showers, which, come on. Obviously, it's a troll name if ever there was a troll name. Role player or not, you're trolling. But they thought it was
Beyond
hysterical. Yeah, and they thought it was hysterical. After that, that was when things were starting to go downhill, of course, though. So another one, at least that I have, and Sib remembers this one, was back when we were playing Final Fantasy XIV before, so that'd be about 3 years ago, 2.5 or so. There was a guy that in the guild that when he was done with his roleplay, that was it. He was done, which meant he would jump onto his giant mount and walk around on top of us. He'd start talking OOC and /say without brackets and things like that, regardless of the fact that everybody else, like if his RP conversation over in the corner finished, but everybody else, like 5 or 6 other people, were out there doing other stuff, didn't matter. He'd just come walking around, like, "Hey guys, what's going on over here? Blah 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 blah. My role play's done. Blah 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 blah."
So should yours be?
Yeah, and he would just get in the way of things, and it's after a while, it's like, "Come on, dude, knock it off. What are you doing?" I think someone finally had said something in that guild. I wasn't an officer or anything, but even that was like, "Come on, somebody's got to say something about this because it's getting really annoying." And then another one was a former officer back in Servants who was where everyone was downstairs. I think I've told the story a couple times, but everyone's downstairs role playing, sitting on a couch, and he just comes in and lounges over the back of it and just, like, at least he was using brackets, just chattering away OOC and talking about nothing important. And finally, I just told him, like, look, we get trolled enough by actual trolls. We don't need to be trolled by other role players. And he's like, he got all upset and offended. He's like, well, you just need to get a sense of humor. God, you're so serious. And then he wandered off because he knew he was wrong.
That's right.
And that's the thing. A lot of them do know better, but because they're not the ones in the middle of their role play, it's okay for them to do that. But I guarantee you, if the roles were reversed, what do you think would happen?
Yep.
They would be super pissed.
Oh, Jazz would be getting a tell. Ashen's over here walking on top of us with this giant, rhino mount, and we're role playing, but he got
one
done.
tell, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Truth.
Jazz.
That moment when you're role playing with Jazz's
stop!
character and she goes dead silent because you know a guildie is blowing her up.
That or one of her kids entered the room and is bleeding.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, there's that too. Is there blood? No. Get out of my corner.
That's a troll of a different sort.
Yeah, that's a troll of a different sort. That's when I'm like, are you dying? Are you bleeding? Go away.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, and we all know that. We all these people that have done that, they are the exact people that I've seen the exact same thing happen to them, and they get mad. They get upset. It's like, come on, be serious. We're doing serious things here. And yet, when they'll do the exact same thing. I don't understand the mindset entirely. So
Those were kind of my things. I know everybody's probably got a story. Straffe wrote his down, so I'm gonna go. What have you got here, Straffe? I didn't
Well,
get a
I've
chance to read
seen
over it.
a role player I knew and respected from EQ2 and before EQ2 for a different game dislike a new story arc from another player, then actively attempt to berate, sabotage, and then generally act a fool through mixing. I Seeley and in officers chat their disdain for the roleplay. This happens in most games with a group of people show up to an event, decide they don't like their attempt to do whatever, so they decide to do their own thing at the expense of the roleplay host and the event.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's a good.
That's one troll.
Yeah, so they're everything's going on. They just instead of just not participating, they actively they troll it and sabotage it.
Right. And when I was back in those days, if I thought player A was a big derphead, and Jazz knew that I thought this player was a big derphead, from the roleplay. Or if I was required to be there, I would behave and act as the boss's guard. Because I didn't want to I didn't want to be in it, but I didn't want to disrespect the guy. Even though I didn't like the person, I didn't want to disrespect the roleplay.
Right, because you'd be ruining it for everyone else.
This is a player who didn't like whatever this person was doing and was actively trying to sabotage and pull it down and act a fool. And then got the wrath of the guild leader on his head later, which was funny.
The wrath of Jazz.
And I think we've all seen people like that. They don't think it's cool enough, therefore they don't want to engage, therefore no one else should engage in their stupid story, whatever it is. You get the idea, right?
Exactly, yeah. So instead of playing and they'll even so far as to like you said with mixing, like they'll do things that are completely out of their character's character. Completely out of their character's character for that, just to go into the attempt to fuck it up and make it bad and sabotage it.
Another one, I've seen officers that are generally great role players 90% of the time. For whatever reason, they have a bad day. Then they use their office/station to inflict their mood on the rest of the guild for something that they didn't like or something someone did they didn't like, effectively trolling them for revenge.
Right. You have here the EQ2 clinic.
Anyone remember the clinic? I'm just saying.
Yep.
Sib.
We had various offenders out of the clinic.
The clinic was always really good, really in constant RP.
Mm-hmm.
And I provided it originally because I felt like it was a good thing. But there are people who kind of Munchausen syndrome.
Yep.
Who, and this is a real life thing, but there are people who also do this in roleplay who cannot get away from it and have to get attention that way constantly. You're constantly hurt, constantly bleeding, constantly infected, constantly possessed, constantly kidnapped. Jiminy.
Or the player running the clinic didn't like a certain player or something going on. So therefore they made everyone come in for a physical, or they had to berate one set of people because reasons. There's that as well.
There is.
What's funny too is the exact same thing happened with people in the servants as well. It seemed like it just seems like whoever gets to run a clinic.
Oh, what is it with that?
Right? It's the exact
power.
We had like Makia was an amazing healer, and she ran our clinic, and I don't think we ever had any drama with her.
Right.
Other than her coming to us and saying, "Okay, this guy has been here 16 times in 2 weeks.
He's got a lot of hangnails." Yeah.
Help.
Right.
Yeah.
She was pretty chill for a director.
Well, and that's why, I mean, you even tried to put Sib in charge of it, and Sib was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I know. I felt bad because I was like, please.
Yeah.
Nope. Solid answer,
I've
Sib.
learned my lesson on being in charge of stuff. I don't like it. I just like to play the game.
She's a follower, not a leader.
I am. I will follow to the ends of earth.
She's like a baby duckling. She'd just be like, "Where are we going? I'm gonna go with you. This is good. This is fun. We're having fun."
And then if you present her with a badge of office, she's like, "That sounds like stuff." Work stuff.
sounds like
I'm
work.
playing the other way.
A badge of office for her is basically the turtle waiting under the duck pond, just waiting. It's just gonna grab the little leg and drag it down, and that's gonna be the end of Sib.
Oh man,
That's a horrible thing, but we have a real bad problem with turtles and ducklings. So around here,
I've seen there's another type of player as well. More often than not, I've seen the type of player who starts off fine, has something or someone happen to them, no matter what it is,
I like the way you put that, something or someone.
and spends the rest of the RP event or week making snide remarks to emotes about their grievance for said happenings or person. When the officer corps then attempts to mediate or talk to them, they pull the pin on the rage quit grenade. An oldie but a goodie.
Yeah. Well,
Happened recently.
and that one too, like when because there's something happening to them, that especially if it's a big thing, like he should now shall not be named with Jazz. I mean, we all knew obviously that it hurt her a lot, but she didn't take it out on people any more than she usually does because she's mean.
It opened the door for Xanis and Ringots.
Right, exactly. But there are other people that have had that happen to them. Good people too, and it makes them bitter and angry, which is understandable. But because they don't know how to cope with it. I mean, it sounds so silly, but anybody here that's role played, if you've role played for any length of time, you know how close you get to some of these people, and when one of them stabs you in the back, or you find out they're saying horrible things about you, or they, who knows whatever the betrayal is, especially when it came out of left field, it hurts. It can really get to a lot of people. I don't think I've really ever had that happen to me because I don't give a shit. But I've seen it happen to other people. I also don't let people close to me, except for I think
a lot of times
the
troll we just described is a younger player.
Mm-hmm.
They have
or one of those pseudo-intellectual people. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm so much smarter than everybody else here. Your emotions don't matter because you're a fool. You're an imbecile.
Yes,
you're not educated like I am. You don't know the difference between there, and there.
Then why'd you pull the pin on the rage quit grenade, bro?
Fuck you, I'm out of here, bitches. Boom!
See, there you go. That's how it rolls.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and excuse me, but and I can get that, and at least when we know when something serious happens, hopefully they've got a network of people that are around them or someone they can talk to help someone get through that. But a lot of times what it seems like what happens with what you're talking about, Straffe, is one of the ones I always remember that would always sour people if somebody got beat in combat, whether it be a slash duel or even a random, /random. Jazz, how many times have you told the stories about the other guilds that you get into it with, and that one where there's like they called you cheating for the rolls, even though you can't cheat on the rolls because you guys had won all your rolls, and they got angry, and then they would. I mean, there's a difference between animosity because in character you lost a fight, and then there's a difference between OOC animosity because they lost the fight and they don't think they should have lost because what was it? They were the good guys, and you were supposed to be the bad guys.
They were the good guys, therefore they had to win. And I was like, that's actually not how that works.
Yeah, that's a good GI. It's a great episode of GI Joe, but this is not GI. This is role play. It could go either way. That's what she said.
That is what she said.
That's what Jazz said.
Yep.
Sorry. Had to take a drink.
That's what Jazz said. That should be a new one.
That's right. That's what Jazz said. I can go either way. Jazz.
True story.
But no, they got so upset, and the interaction with them afterwards, had it just been like in character, like we'll get you next time, He-Man, that kind of thing, it would have been fine. But it was the writer of He-Man being like, "Fuck you, Skeletor! I'm gonna write you in there, and you're gonna have a tiny dick." And I'm going to say that to everybody from now on.
And I'm taking my toys and going home.
That's right. It's basically what they did. It's a much more broad thing, but anytime I don't know how many people I've beaten in duels because I like to duel. I love combat. It's so much fun. both in /duel in EverQuest and in just random rolls where it really could. It's a 50-50 shot. There's no anything but luck to it, and they'll get really bitter and angry about it, and they'll start making snide comments that are very clearly trolling in a mixing variety. Like, oh well, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna you're gonna do that way, if you're gonna slash random 100 like that, like, oh, I mean,
Sorry.
there's only one way to do
You
it.
said He-Man. I saw that the other day, and I was like, I love Terry Crews.
Oh, the Terry Crews is He-Man? Yeah.
Yes.
Terry Crews.
That's excellent.
Now he would make a good He-Man. That would be a good one. I still think he
Terry
should have been
Crews is
King
my
Triton.
bro. Look at
yeah,
that.
he is.
I'd watch it.
Mm-hmm. And you just know he'd be bouncing the pecs.
I mean, if you look at the old cartoon, Prince Adam's a skinny little dude, and when he turns into He-Man, he turns that dark. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's definitely got a tan. Although I will say, Prince Adam himself was actually pretty. They were all pretty buff.
That's true.
Yeah, at least I had all the He-Man toys, so I still have some of them somewhere. They were some
Skeletor hanging on my desk right here.
Some creepy ass people. I don't know where they came up with that stuff. But yeah, the people that end up rage quitting because of that stuff, or snide mixing comments, it is a form of roleplay trollers. Yeah.
And people don't want to be around that player, and then so they do themselves in a way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one. There's also the My Way or the Highway role player. They sometimes are one of your core people.
Yep.
With a following of other role players. Constantly surround them. They're great for stories. They join in and everything.
Sorry.
One fine day, they don't get their way, so they start acting out in the above descriptions. When this ultimately doesn't get them what they want, they simply pack their roleplay toys up and take half your guild with them to stick it to the guild. All the while role-playing until they deploy the mass exodus bomb, leaving huge drama in their wake. Then sometimes carrying on the roleplay like a badge of honor. Oh, we left the guild True North because this. I think we've all seen that person.
Mm-hmm. Because the guild
We've
leader,
dealt with that in every game I've ever played. There's
because
always
the guild leader is a bitch, and she wouldn't let us do what we wanted. All we wanted, Jazz, was to have a bunch of half-dragon vampire halflings running around, and we had rewritten your guild's history so that me, were like a founding member of it, even though
And
at
don't
the time
forget,
you
we
didn't
needed
realize
spider legs
it.
too with the morph. I'm just saying.
And it's what?
We needed spider legs too when we morph between shapes.
Right, and we needed spider legs too when we morphed between shapes.
That. Yes.
Yeah, and also
now it's good.
Also, one of us is half unicorn. I won't tell you where the horn comes from.
Or where it is.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz.
But yes, they do like to pull that mass exodus bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And
How many times do you have that happen?
Then they
in
will
Silver
actually
Circle?
troll you in other roleplay situations. So if you go there with your guild, you got some former guild, the gang of former guildies are there in another guild.
Mm-hmm.
They will start doing the Snyder marks and emotes thing. They will start being passive aggressive. They will start doing the
Looks across
this
the
is like a
room and
catch-all effect.
snickers vicariously.
They will disrespect what's going on in the story arc. Yeah, they will do all the above.
So, Jazz,
Yes.
how many times did that happen?
Too many times to count.
Yeah, and it does.
I tell you,
It's a cult. We've talked
every
about the
time
cults,
that is
yeah.
what's burned me out right there. That is usually the last straw for me to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
The my way or the highway groups that are following one person, and that person gets mad and they all leave at once, and then people leave because, well, all these people left, so the guild must be dying, so we should leave too, and you end up losing like half your guild, and half of them come back, but that's not the point.
Right, and and they
damage
leave.
has been done.
It's all groupthink too, because there was one person telling them it's the cult of personality we've talked about before.
Yeah.
It is.
And it turns them and everyone around them because it's groupthink. Their leader tells them, Jazz bad, so Jazz bad. Then they follow along, and then they think they can do better in their own guild. Which, by the way, if you honestly think that, go ahead.
Go give it a try.
Go ahead and try.
But leave amiably with
Right.
good faction.
Yeah, because a lot of times, how many of those guilds did they run off and make, Jazz, that were never heard from again?
All of them.
Too many to count.
I don't think there was a single guild that formed after causing drama in my guild, or that they went to another guild. They just did it again, to that guild that they went to. And then the guild leader was like, guess I should have
Heeded the
listened to
warning.
you, huh?
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, so this person joined and they said this happened. And do you have anything to say? No, not really.
Yeah.
Really? You're not going to say anything? Nah. You might want to keep in mind that this is not the first time they've done it to a guild, and I am sure it's going to
Lock
happen
your
again.
bank
Oh,
up.
no, that doesn't happen in our guild.
Good
Okay.
luck.
Mm-hmm.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup. It's about to get bouncy.
Yeah.
Have fun.
What was that? Yeah, there was. Oh,
So, I mean, they are role players.
Yes,
the
they
problem
are.
is they start pulling all this stuff and creating community-wide drama. This is like the grand poobah of a role player troll.
And they are trolls after fashion
Mhm.
because they only want what they want. And the minute that you don't let them do what they want, then they disrupt role play for everybody. And they don't have the smallest care.
There is one. Oh, I'm sorry, Jazz, finish.
No, it's already gone out of
that's
my
what
brain.
she said.
Okay. There is one troll I didn't write on here. It just I mean, Passion has dealt with it. I've dealt with it. I'm pretty sure Jazz has dealt with it. It's a troll. It's a guild. The whole guild is this kind of troll. You go over there, not in their guild, to role play with because maybe two other people, and they immediately come down on you because you're not in their circle of crazy. Therefore, your role player should not be respected, and then the whole guild will treat you like dog meat.
What was that?
And you're like, did I just wander into a cult? What happened here?
Yeah, I remember someone saying something like that happened to him recently, and I can't remember who or what the story was. But yeah,
I experienced it in EQ2. I think you experienced it in ES.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know I've had that happen. But yeah, and it's because it was something about it was the way. I think it was you, Jazz, that you had gone somewhere and the way you role played was different than the way they did it, or something like that.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, and so that they were basically just, they ended up just trolling you instead of just I don't know, ignoring you or asking you to leave, one or the other. But something like that.
That has happened a couple times.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are people who roleplay very differently.
Right,
than other
yeah, there's a
people.
lot of them.
And they're all different kinds of stuff. And I roll dice, and I don't expect anybody else to, but I do. For everything. I don't make a decision without doing it. My characters are governed by dice.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that for a reason, because I know that if I didn't do that, the temptation to allow my own personal feelings or what's going on in my life at that moment might slip in, and I don't want to do that. So it keeps me honest.
That's the way to stay honest, for sure.
Yeah, it keeps me honest. I'm not my character. I don't put myself into my characters very much, although there's always obviously bits and
Right.
pieces of me in my characters that makes it fun.
No writer cannot do that.
No writer can, because you write what you know. So, part of the reason probably why all my characters are so damn tragic is because, my life. But
yeah, for example, I can't write with experience the way of being a dyslexic lesbian midget. I would have no basis in my
Oh
life
my
to
goodness.
write based on that. It would be very difficult. And Jazz went on mute for some reason. Another
Maybe
one
she's
too.
laughing hard.
Yeah, that's why. That's that's why. That's what that's for. Another one too. Actually, I just saw that new the guild I was trying to join put this up on apparently a guild in Final Fantasy XIV called the Lunar Rose had a now ex officer. There was something that they were everyone was supposed to do. They were outvoted, came to, the rest of the officership came to a different conclusion, so they were going to go it that way. Well, whoever this officer was pissed off and didn't like it because they thought they were right. So what they did was completely picked up every house item, which if you've played Final Fantasy XIV, you could put millions of gil into those houses. Like, I think the one in this guild, they said they put 700 million in items and things. So they cleaned out the guild's chest. They cleaned out the company credits. They cleaned out the house, the actual house, just because of a disagreement. They didn't just leave. They literally gutted the house and then destroyed the items, I think.
That is brutal.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which
That is bad.
Mhm.
Bad.
yeah, and I forget, I don't know that they put the name here. I know the company name, because guilds are companies in this one, was Lunar Rose that got shafted. But it was a good reminder to play. They say, please always have a failsafe system. I mean, and what sucks with that is that was an officer that did that. So,
Yeah.
they worked their way up. It's someone you think you can trust. And even, and they even said here, no matter how much you trust, because you just, before you know it, they can take it from you. And there's a bunch of screenshots of just room after room of empty things, or there's a few items left here and there of probably stuff they couldn't pick up that maybe was someone else owned. But
Either
they
they
just
were
cleared
angry
them
and
out. Yeah.
Did this, or this was a long, long troll.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It was from the sound of it. It was they say it was over a disagreement. So I'm sure they know. Yeah, and they didn't add the name, so that's fine. But it was the phone. Jazz had to be on the phone. She's on the phone, everybody. Jazz is taking a phone call. She's taking a personal call. Personal call
It's
right
an
now.
important
Personal
call.
call. As I grew up listening to in bowling alleys, Jazz, you have a phone call on the white courtesy phone. Jazz, phone call on the white courtesy phone. Those things were so disgusting. It was no longer white. It was more of a tannish brown.
Oh my goodness.
Well, nicotine back in the 80s, everything was a tannish brown.
True.
Yellow. But yeah, that's just a simple disagreement. And that right there, I mean, that's a nasty, nasty troll, because you decimated it. Luckily, once the story got out, the good point of it was a lot of the roleplay community came around them, and they're donating millions of gil and housing items and things like that to the guild to get back on their feet. Yeah, I saw
That's cool.
just one person alone in the guild that I'm applying for gave them like 70 million credits.
Oh wow.
Some people have a lot. I was feeling good. I've got like 700,000. And I was feeling pretty good about myself. And these guys just gives away 70 million. It's like, here you go. Yeah, but I've also only been playing. I don't play all the time like they do. They've got a lot of high level characters. But that's the real nasty, awful form of roleplay trolling, because apparently this person had been a role player the entire time. And one disagreement apparently away from having your entire guild nearly wiped out financially, which is a shame.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
Yeah. So,
Sorry about that.
oh, you're all right.
No worries.
How was the courtesy call?
Yes.
The courtesy call was interesting. My shed is arriving 3 days early.
Oh yeah, you're
Excellent.
getting a
nice.
shed. Yeah.
Wife's calling me at 8:30 at night on a Saturday, but whatever.
Because that's fucking customer service.
That's customer service.
I guess.
We got good
famous,
news
Jazz.
for
You're
you,
the
and
dark
you are
elf of
gonna
Iowa.
get it regardless if you're in the middle of dinner or a podcast.
Hey man, he's just trying to meet that dark elf from Iowa.
That's
You know how it is.
That dark elf from Iowa. But did you have any examples, Jazz? I know you didn't put any in here, but it doesn't mean you don't have.
No, I
any.
didn't put any in there because I figured I'd probably just yammer anyway.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Because I was on the phone.
We're just to the part after Strafes, and we're about to do.
Oh, in 5?
Yeah, we're about to hit 5. I haven't
Okay.
done it. I was just gonna see if you had any examples you wanted to
Oh,
share.
that. The my way. We're still on my way or highway. Okay.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah, we're.
Um.
About-
Um. we would get people on occasion that didn't understand why we would want no trolling. And, we've had that rule in every single guild we've ever had. You may not troll role players. And
Strafe.
I know what you're talking about, man.
as long as it's IC, that's one thing, like trolls and things like that.
I know.
But we've had people, like you said, once they're done, they start dancing on the table and, I'm not here, IC.
Yeah, but you're distracted.
And got really upset because I was like, then GTFO. Goodbye.
See, I am guilty of tempting another officer, Gry. I won't say his full name.
Grr.
While we're sitting, because we were playing the, there's a cougar in here somewhere. Oh, yeah, there's Jazz. Hey, so while the guild meeting is going on, we were playing guard duty, and I would just send him tells like, hey, we should just start busting out in Michael Jackson right here on stage. What you gonna do, ban us all? He would laugh out loud and send it back. See, we were just bantering, but we would never do it.
Right. Well, that's,
People who
yeah,
would actually
that's
do
one
it
thing.
or clown shows.
Yeah, but that's that's just joking around, especially when you're on guard duty and you're bored out of your mind.
I mean, like we had when we would do we had dueling nights, which were always OOC, usually anyway.
Yeah, unless I did them, in which case you better come in character. Your bitch ass is getting slapped.
We did them IC sometimes, but when we were doing training, where everybody was just going to get out there and try to kill Triton and lose.
Yeah, that was for actual duels. Yeah,
the good old days.
The good old days when Triton was our head PvPer and could kill anybody.
Well, almost.
You and Greiger were the only two people that could kill him.
It was all in the interrupts because monks had 4 or 5 of them. So every time I see him cast a spell, boom, on his ass.
They didn't ever duel the boss. I'm like, he's a Shao Knight. I'm an assassin.
He always kicked Vaka's ass.
Yeah. I'm wearing chain,
until
no
she
thanks.
got that where you could push the skill and then all of your back hits were now front hits.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
They
I
can
would
do
just
it.
simply wipe the floor with whoever I was actually fighting.
By the way, taking that
and I
phrase...
didn't warn him he'd been gone from the game for like 4 months and wasn't aware of that change. And so we started, and all of a sudden he was dead, and he was laying there, and I heard from his office, whoa, what the happy horse shit was that?
Which, by the way, Jazz, taking something out of context, take the phrase, all your back hits are now front hits, out of context.
There you go.
What?
Somebody's upset.
No, I'm just saying, if you said what you said, all your back hits are now front hits, take it out of context. All right, nice, yeah.
Hey.
Weirdo.
Sorry. Anyways, but yeah, that
what
was...
you doing?
Sorry. But yeah, honestly, we could probably ramble on forever about examples.
Well, yes, but let's move on to the next category.
Yes. So how do role players find themselves suddenly thrust into the category of being trolls? Basic and most simple one is they get bored and think once they're not actively role playing, they could just joke around OOC, and even though other people are still role playing, their shit's done and they're bored and they don't want to log off. They don't want to go quest. They want to bounce around like a fucking
pay attention to
Mexican
me. Pay attention
jumping
to me.
band.
I'm bored. Yeah.
It's like the I don't know, any Kardashian or Paris Hilton. I'm so stupid, aren't cute. No,
No,
fucking
bro.
annoying. Just stop. Go. If you're not gonna play, take your ball, go home. Killing me, Smalls.
I don't want to.
I'm gonna sick the beast on you.
The beast.
Yeah, it's from Sandlot.
Oh.
I was thinking the beast under my bed.
Oh,
We don't wanna
know
talk
what
about-
is- I was
in my
like, I
head.
didn't know what kind of beast. I was like, what are we talking about here?
I don't know, I'm
It
confused.
was you're killing me, Smalls. It's the Sandlot.
I
You guys
know.
need
Oh,
to
yeah,
keep
Sandlot.
up. Yeah.
The beast was the dog.
Yeah, it was the dog owned by James Earl
It was
Jones, who pitched for the
Actually,
Yankees.
very
That's
sweet.
Darth Vader's dog.
That's right.
He just wanted to play ball.
Yeah, or Mufasa. Mufasa. Ooh. Let's see. Whatever roleplay they're doing finished, and since that happened, since what happens next doesn't involve them, they're free to reign to. Wow.
I don't know who wrote that. Probably someone very good looking, but very stupid. But they're free to have rain to run around. Maybe that's what I meant to put in there. But yeah, they're whatever they could be right in the middle of like, and then like their character is in jail now or passed out from injuries, and I don't know, like a sick bay, for example, because they've been injured 18 times
That happened
this
a
week.
lot, actually. People that were in jail or were in isolation because their character suddenly became possessed, and they were very bitter because then we
Quarantined them
tossed
as
them
you
in
would.
isolation
Yeah.
because who wouldn't do that? Wait, you can't put me in here. How am I supposed to roleplay? So we're just supposed to let somebody who's possessed and trying to kill people run around the guild hall?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't any fun.
Yeah.
Maybe
Welcome to
don't run around
consequences.
and try to stab people. Just a random thought.
Yeah.
Welcome to consequences, kiddos.
But they would come in and start OOCly bouncing around and stuff because I'm not here, I see. And I would
Yeah.
have to send them a towel and say, this is trolling.
Yeah.
And you either get on a character that you can roleplay on or leave. And I actually twice in a very short period of time, to make the point to some newbies that had just joined us, I had to ban them both from the guild hall.
Yeah. Well, and I and I've like on Xanis and other characters, I've been injured and and I've been out for the count. So if I'm still wanting to see what's going on, like I want to see like the aftermath of it, I'll go there and hide behind a corner out of sight where I'm just within chat range.
Or just casting viz on yourself.
Yeah, something I it's easy to do it. You go under the floor, you go behind a bookcase, or you find a corner to hide and duck in. That's okay, but when you're like wandering around in the middle of the living room on and you're grinding your ass and tweaking against the walls, it's no, you're not just a simple observer. You're an active participant in being annoying.
That sounds like Gormal going to a guild meeting.
He does a lot of twerking.
He did all kinds of strange things.
A little flabby green butt going.
I think the funniest thing Gormal did was he had a rumbling guts,
That's
and
the
everybody
cheeks flapping.
turned in the assembly, looked at him, and then literally parted the Red Sea, left him in the middle of the room, and Gormal looked around and went, "This is the best way to get off."
Crop dust.
Yeah, he did that.
Okay, so next is they are honestly so obtuse or self-absorbed that they don't see it as trolling, just as you not having a sense of humor. Meanwhile, if you did, as I said, the exact same thing to them, they'd have an aneurysm, call foul, cry, and carry one in the guild chat, or carry on. I could put carry on in the guild chat about their immersion and not respecting their role play.
Yeah, I got that a lot when people were just being idiots, and I would say something. You're trying to control my role play. This isn't role play. You're trolling.
Yeah, you're OOC right now, douchebag. Well, you just don't have. I've been accused of that one. I've been accused of that one. Not having a sense of humor.
You said it like 3 times, bro.
Yeah, it's because I have a pretty darn good sense of humor until you're being a dumbass, and then my sense of humor meter goes, "You're not being funny."
See, that's an auto response if you've been caught.
Right.
The only thing to say is, well, you just don't have a sense of humor. It's like, no, dude, you're being a derp.
You're not respecting my roleplay, Strafe. You're not. You ruined my immersion, Sib. My immersion.
And I've told them you can't have immersion when you're jumping around like a fucking idiot when your character's supposed to be a 300-year-old vampire.
You're trying to control my roleplay.
And the thing is, a lot of those people, when they get called out on it, they leave.
Yes.
They walk away. They get embarrassed because they know they were wrong.
Yeah, they'll fight it and they'll say something snarky back, but in the end, there's no defense for it. Because especially if you've got to the point where you have to say, listen, if someone was doing this to you, how would you react? And if they say something like, well, I would just ignore it, they're full of shit, and you can tell them that.
Oh, yeah.
No, you wouldn't, because you know how I know that? Well, I mean, this is if I was playing jazz. Because you've cried to me 14 times over the last month about the exact same thing. Nobody came to me because they're like,
Yep.
oh, yeah, he's an unsympathetic jerk. No, Spanky, you're fat and you don't need to be fed.
But
These
foodies,
dogs, by the
boss.
way, are freaking sweet.
Yes, they're adorable, aren't they? For a fatty.
It's okay to fat shame dogs, right?
Not
Oh,
really.
yeah.
They don't know. They
For
don't
your
know.
critters, man.
Well, the one is fluffy. She's not fat. She's festively plump. She actually, Fred, you know that, Jazz. She's just a ball of fur.
Yeah.
Just an cranky old lady with fur. So the other one, well, Sib goes and feeds them real quick. Tell me if I put this one in there. Tell me if I'm off, anybody. They're ERPers between sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they're real.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm not ER. That was that one guy I was talking about that sat on the couch. That's basically what he had turned into as an ERPer, and he just and he wasn't doing it. Wasn't about him, or wasn't about him getting it on. Then just dinked around and did whatever the fuck you wanted.
And there's also people who, particularly, and this can be harder, especially for new role players to understand, that people who've been role playing a long time who also do the troll thing, will act like an idiot. And then when the consequences come up, and they're like, I had a character that I was really pissed at because he had acted a certain way towards y'all. And the next time that he saw her, she wouldn't talk to him.
Right.
Because he was a dick. And he sends me a tell, and he says, why isn't I'm not an ignore, am I? I guess that was his concern. And I said, no, although you should be, because you were trolling the other night. And he was like, oh, I was just having fun. I'm like, well, trolls get 2 chances. You're on chance 2 right now. I wouldn't suggest doing that again, or I'm just going to put you on ignore.
Yeah.
Well, then you may as well put me on ignore. I said, okay. And I did.
Bye.
Yeah.
And
welcome to ignore.
He was so mad. He got in front of me and did the whole face thrust thing,
Mm-hmm.
And all I said, and his friend was in parentheses, his friend was like, dude, you're proving it right. What are you doing?
It's a teabag dance.
Because he was doing the teabag dance and apparently was saying, ignore me, huh? Ignore me. Well, I'm not a troll. And yeah.
And his
friend was like, dude, my dude, stop.
You're actually kind of, words and actions aren't matching up to the thing that you say you're doing that you're not doing, but you're still doing it.
The best part would have been if you'd have booted him out of the guild hall and banned him.
Well, no, this was in Riften.
Oh, yeah. This is not EQ, okay.
No, this was in Riften.
Yeah, more recent.
Yeah, that was great, because first they would do that, and they would get on ignore, and if they pulled that stunt, then they would just magically disappear out of the guild hall.
Blink.
Yep. Once when we had that, because all these places lack a lot of the controls that EQ2 had for handling stuff like that. It was great. Pooh, gone.
And you could just ban them. They keep people from getting in there at all.
Yeah, and we had an icy way to do that. So I would say, Vakarina mumbles under her breath and casts the wards, and pooh, there they'd go, and they'd be mad because they'd be in the middle of yelling at Vaka or something. And
they'd find themselves on the outs all of a sudden.
Yep, and then
all
they
of a
couldn't
sudden,
get in the guild hall.
You're logging into Commons.
Yeah,
Common lands. What?
Common lands. What? And then they would usually guild quit at that point. And usually after a couple of months, they'd come back and apologize.
Can you remember any of their names?
Nope.
There you go.
They weren't really that important.
That's how important they really were in the end.
It happened a lot. We had people that would leave and come back and leave and come back and leave and come back and leave and come back. And I didn't stop. I won't stop people from that, But my, patience with them lessens each time.
Yeah.
So the more often that they would guild quit because they were angry, the less likely I was going to tolerate or put up with their BS the next time around. We had a guy who left and joined 4 times. And the 5th time that he joined in his guild in RP, one of our officers went AFK. So we paused for a second and he got up and started dancing around the room.
Mm-hmm.
And Vaka was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh no, in parentheses, oh no, this is just OOC. I said, dude, how many times have you been in this guild? And he's like, oh, right, you don't have a sense of humor. And he sat down. And the funny part was, I didn't boot him.
No, I think at that point I would have done it.
I think you did. I think
might
it was
have.
you, actually. You were just like, bah.
Fine. You're right. Neither do I. Well,
And I was like, Xanis!
of course, I was also one of those
an
people
officer
that,
channel. I was like, seriously? And you were just like, nope, not putting up with that this time.
That's right.
Yeah,
I loved it.
third times, two times is a charm. Third, fourth, and fifth, which is something we always got on to Jazz about, was she's a forgiving soul to the point
Take
of
it past the
stop
third
it.
strike. And we're like,
I
no,
know.
dude. Do what they've learned. No, they haven't.
No, they haven't learned anything. They didn't learn anything the first 4 times. Well, this time they're no, Jazz.
Well, it's because of that I instituted the officer voting so that you guys could outvote me.
Jazz was a they beat me because they love me kind of person when it came to taking people back into the guild.
I can't tell you how many times we had people who wanted to come back in the guild, and I had to tell them, I am perfectly okay with you coming back. However,
The other 6 officers are like,
the
fuck
other
no.
6 officers all voted no, and I can't change their mind. So sorry.
Yeah. And I think that was always preceded with, I'll tell them for you. In which case you were like, no. I was like, okay.
Oh, man.
And I
No,
would too.
let me do this.
I'd have
Sitting there
been
tells, release Xanis, release me, or release Tilda. Release all 3 of us.
I'd have been diplomatic.
can't do that.
You're not
Release
welcome.
the hounds.
You're not welcome
it.
back because you're an ass.
Yeah.
You've had 3
We-
chances
yeah.
already, and you've abused all 3 of them. We're not letting you take advantage of Jazz anymore. Go
True.
fuck off somewhere else.
And we did have one person that we had to actually ban from like everything. So it does happen sometimes, but I do try to.
Yeah, and your
Yes,
husband never
even-
really got over that. Is he talking to you yet?
Oh, dang.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jay.
Get 10 trolls.
So,
So how do you deal with them?
did we go? That was the ERP, or did we? Oh yeah, there we go. We got one more.
Reasons why they do it.
They don't get their way, or they didn't like what's currently going on around them, so they pull the mixing card and act out.
Yes.
That too.
Yeah, that's a big
Classic.
one that happens. That probably is the biggest version of roleplay trolling that there possibly is the mixing OOC into your character's emotes and things like that. The passive being passive aggressive trolling, I guess would be a good thing to call it.
Yeah.
That one tends to happen more often than almost anything. I think I'm even guilty of that every now and then, especially if it's someone I really don't like. Although that was more early on. Now I just blatantly completely ignore their existence altogether.
Or you
Yeah.
just say, I don't like you.
Yeah,
Very honest.
yeah. It's, I don't like you.
Sometimes they see that as a challenge and they want to empty ante. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
then you got to get hostile. Then the boss yells at you later. But then everybody wins.
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Jazzy, are you okay?
So, moving on to when this does happen, how do you deal with them? A lot of this is going to be subjective because situations change. But for the first offense, you might let it go if it's quick, or they bugger off before it gets to the point where it feels like you should say something. Like if it's just a quick jump and a roll around and then they're gone. It's shit happens sometimes, or sometimes people don't even realize that you're like, if they just came into your chat bubble, they obviously haven't seen your role playing, and then they see. I think I've done that and been like, oh shit, sorry. It's like
Or
getting
you log in, and you don't even know that
Right.
they're, yeah.
It's like getting in front of someone taking a picture, and you walk right into the frame. You're like, oh, sorry, and you back out slowly. It's,
And then you run around and photobomb them.
yeah. Well,
True.
that is actually what I do, but
Without saying no.
yeah, but that's with the photograph. With the role play, I actually do like, oops, sorry, my bad. But if it's a first thing and it doesn't feel, there are accidents. There are people that it might come off as a troll at first, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to get in the middle of your stuff right there. By the way, that is anatomically incorrect, and that is impossible to do. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
So the second effects or maybe a long duration of OOC. It's like you just tell them out of character, like, "Hey, we're still RPing here. Could you stop, please?" You just try to be polite about it. I hate it, but typically politeness gets you a lot farther. I wish you could just start off with with what you typically do when it's a continual thing, which typically starts out with, "Listen, motherfucker." I mean, not quite. Maybe all right. Maybe you don't start out with that, but close enough. Really, it's like the office way of doing it. As per my previous email, that kind of a thing. that like, "Listen, motherfucker. If you knew how to read, I wouldn't have to reply to this stupid, inane question again." God damn it, Karen. Just read your emails. But a lot of these are situations because some people are less annoying than others, and it's really is. You have to kind of base it based on the severity, the quantity. I guess I can't think of the other word, but quantity. Just how often this stuff happens all the time, and how bad it is, and on what your response needs to be, and if you're an officer, of course, you're going to need to step in. Guild leader, you just, I mean, it's your job. It sucks. I hate calling people that I like out on their bullshit. And if I don't like them, I don't care. But if I like them, like if it was Straffe, I'd be like, "Come on, dude, you know better. Don't make me have this conversation with you."
But my immersion boss.
You don't have a sense of humor. You know what? You're not friends anymore. I'm sending you a glitter bomb next time. So but
Oh Lord,
have you seen those glitter bombs, Straffe?
I have not.
Okay, so there's a company out there that will literally deliver glitter bombs to people either that you like, or if you get the ultra fine glitter, you don't like. And it comes in a little tube, like a little round tube at one end. And what it is there is a spring in this tube, and they pound it with glitter, and they put that spring there so that when you mail this to the person, they take that cap off, that spring bounces, and it fine glitter all over everything in your house or your car, and you'll never get it out. It's called a glitter.
Glitter is the herpes of the art world. So
it is. Yes, it is everywhere, and it spreads.
The herpes of the art world.
That's what we say in art school.
Mm-hmm. That's accurate.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Also, try to find how glitter is made. It's a very well kept secret.
It's just tinfoil.
Yeah, but like how they get it so fine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've actually looked it up. There's like one company that makes it, and they're very, very secretive on how exactly they do it. It's kind of
the trolls of Direfree Industry
weird.
cannot divulge or tell you how or when our fine product is made. We are happy that you are excited for our product, the Glitter Bomb Direfree Express.
Well, what I saw this on was let's talk about glitter for a second. There was a video of this kid that's still teenager, or no, he's a grown man, but he was still at home with his parents, or he had just moved out, but his dad was always opening his mail. So he sent this to himself, and his dad at his computer desk opened his package to his son.
Oh, no.
And it went everywhere. And he was like, "Motherfucker." He got super pissed off, but he shouldn't have opened his son's package. If he hadn't done that, it wouldn't have happened. It was a great troll. You'd have been proud, Straffe. I'll find the video and show it to you after.
Excellent.
So moving on, they need to be told in no uncertain terms, hopefully from an officer or a guild leader, what is going on and why it is not okay that they're doing it. Whoever has the most kind of authority on that is probably the best one, or like comes off as like, oh, whoever you think will listen to them the most without causing an issue, which sometimes is nobody. It doesn't matter what you do, it's gonna be a problem. But, I mean, unfortunately, like most things in life, honesty is the best policy. You just tell them, man, what you're doing is not okay.
I do it all the time. Just recently, I had to have a RP-related discussion with a new member, and I was nice. You guys saw I wasn't obnoxious. I was like, okay, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Stop that. It's not okay. It's actually encourages mixing. It's not healthy for role play or for you. You need to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he didn't take it well, but I was still nice. I think I was very nice.
I mean,
Was I nice? I think I was nice.
You're as nice as,
Guys.
I mean, you just, some people that, I mean, as we all have said, that's why we've done this show for this long. Role playing is a learning experience. You don't come into it, and know everything in your first month or year or 5. You always learn things, especially when you bounce from game to game and community to community. Every community has its own little. It's like going from one region of the United States to another. There's just different ways that things are done, different styles of talking, or in our case, like dialoguing and role play and how things are done. One of the things I noticed a lot in Final Fantasy XIV that happens is a lot of people they start out with the say, then they'll just like in writing, they'll do a little comma and the parentheses, and then they'll emote a part of it. It's still in the white text, and then finish their sentence or something like that, instead of doing it all in one in a mode and then having it talk in the middle. It's a little bit different than I've seen it done in like ESO and even recently in Star Wars. I can't pinpoint exactly what's different about it all the time, but I've noticed several more people do a lot more of their role playing in /say with it written out in like novel form, if that makes sense, where it uses the punctuation and less of like /em, which that took me forever to get used to, because it's /em in Final Fantasy XIV, not /e, which gets you a buttload of nothing. Which is also good because it posted to my chat, and I was like, that doesn't look right. I wonder if I had to actually look it up. Is it /em in this one? I think it is. And yep, sure enough, I was right. But yeah, having an officer.
Texture, man.
Yeah, it's every game is like, we got to do our own thing. No, guys, it's /e, /em, /emote. All three of them work. Just pick all three. It's okay. Rip everything off. You guys rip everything else off. And lastly here, many of them will get Defensor.
Defensor.
That's a new game from Atari, the Defensor. Many of them will get defensive no matter how you come at it, especially if they are a true blue role player. I know what I'm doing. I've been role playing for 6 months now. I am basically an expert. And you don't get to tell me what I can and can't do with my character, in character, or out of character, or in any character.
Jaws role player Esquire.
Right. So it comes from it because you're basically you're calling them out. People don't like getting called out when they're doing something stupid. So you're accusing them of trolling, and they, quote the Joker, everybody loses their mind. And because of them,
you call them out.
Yeah, and they aren't the bad guy. You're just a humorless old fart, Sib.
What?
Dang. Coming down hard on the nice one.
Old fart.
Yep, humorless old fart.
I do fart.
It does happen. It does happen.
I'm not really humorless. I mean, I live with you. I have to have some sense of humor.
I just figured you were dead inside.
I do not have
Ouch.
a soul. I will tell you that.
Yeah, but
Damn.
That's what somebody at work told me the other day.
was that because you're Cherokee? Those racist bastards.
No, it's that box we saw that, what was it? It said evil souls or something. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like, I wonder what's in it. And they're like, your soul. I'm like, probably.
Yeah, it was full of those crappy styrofoam tombstones or something, probably, which are garbage. Anywhere that gets above 10 miles an hour, that's a good money well spent to go into your neighbor's yard.
Yep.
But
Flying fast.
yeah. So it's very likely. I don't know what you guys say. Maybe I want to say 50-50, but I actually think it's higher than that it's going to cause a problem. Oh, Jess had a phone call again.
when you have to call them out on this. I would love to say that it's only going to be 50-50, that they're not going to get defensive about it, but it does seem like that it's much higher than that. Probably like 75-25, maybe. Anybody?
I would have to say it's going to be a higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, unless you just have somebody that just is really clueless.
Yeah, takes good feedback
Yeah.
willingly. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
But let's be honest. Most role players are very, it's all about them. And how could you dare accuse them
Very
of something like that?
self-serving. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and some of them even make a whole podcast with just them as the host talking about
What
it.
a
I
troll,
mean,
right?
Right.
And how dare they do
how
that?
dare they
without inviting me, who I am like the most important person in the world.
Yeah, but you kind of talk like this, and it's not really good audio, so we're not going to have you on. Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. I hate having to. I never like really. I don't enjoy having to get in people's faces unless they have it coming, and if it's somebody that maybe just doesn't know or something like that, I don't like having to do that. All that stuff aside, I don't enjoy having to correct anybody on their stuff like that. Now, if they're being a complete asshole, game on, motherfucker. It's all good. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But you always hope that someone is willing to take the advice for what it is. Just advice, and you're just trying to help everything out. But it's going to be up to the individual, and it's unfortunately something that has to always be dealt with. And the worst part of it is often too is you can't, like with the other trolls, you can just put them on ignore and they're gone. You just ignore it, you don't pay attention to it. But when there's someone in your guild, like there's been a lot of guild people I would love to put on ignore, but as an officer, I can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have to say that is a crap thing. If you're in the guild with the person, I don't think you should be allowed to put them on ignore.
Well, yeah,
because I've seen that cause some massive trouble. And it's not fair to the person that is on ignore because they have no clue.
Yeah, especially if they don't know.
Just don't interact
Sometimes
with
they
them.
do know.
Yeah, well, some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them really deserve it, and they would be all right. But
case in point,
right? What happened?
I'm going to tell the story.
Yep.
Okay. Apparently, I got mistaken as somebody else in a guild, and they put me on ignore. Well, they were doing an event, and I kept trying to get invited, and nothing ever happened. I was like, what the hell? Okay, they meant to put somebody else on ignore, not me. But because of that, I was like, dude, I'm out. I don't even want to be a part of the guild anymore. It was stupid because they were an officer. And why would they have anybody on ignore? And I mean, I just don't even agree with it. Even if you're a guild mate, I don't think you should have a person in your guild on ignore. If you don't like them, don't interact with them.
Well,
I've
that's
done
not
that
always
plenty of times.
capable, though.
Yeah,
It
especially
is.
if they're always coming
Walk
at
away.
you. Yeah.
No, you
Well,
can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
like,
not as an
it's
officer.
not fair for you to walk away. Yeah, as an officer, you definitely can't put them on ignore. But as another guild member, if it's not fair that every time they show up, they'll start using that and make you leave, and that's not right. So yeah, there's certain
like
people.
we had a situation where we had two people that didn't get along. One was an officer and one was a member. And
Jazz has a bloody
she
nose. That's
eventually-
why she sounds funny. It's okay.
yeah, sorry guys, I got a bloody
Okay, fine.
nose
Yeah.
and had to run. I was like, oh crap, it was everywhere.
Yeah,
It was so gross.
I just want to explain because I could hear it, and I can hear.
Can you tell?
I can hear it. Like,
Nasally.
yeah, you're very.
Thanks
you're
for
very
Oh.
like that.
Man,
That's funny.
I thought Gormal left.
Anyway, and we had to ask the other person to leave because it was getting impossible for the officer to do his job with her on ignore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just nothing you can do. But
Yeah.
as a rule, we had a rule in Silver Circle: officers couldn't have anyone on ignore.
Yeah.
I broke that rule.
Yes, I know you did. I know. So did Gry. So did my husband. My husband had several people on ignore.
Yeah, I think
It was with good reason. It was only one person.
Yeah, I think I told people they were, but I didn't. I just didn't. That way I could still see what they said. I just never responded to it. But they
Yeah.
thought I
Glorious.
was. So, which is, I did, they just thought I was. That way they could say what they wanted, and I'd be like, okay, I see what you're doing.
I just don't agree with it. I mean, that's me.
Yeah.
If it's that bad, then you should just ask them to leave the guild.
In
Yeah.
a certain
And not
situation,
put them on
And
an
that's
easy-
exactly what we ended up doing. But
Yeah,
I
and I
wanted to
agree with
give.
that.
I was hoping they could just ignore each other, but it turned out that
Mm-mm.
there just was no way.
this
So
player in question was a
yeah.
triple offender and caused a big upset outside a game. And so they earned themselves a spot on my ignore list. Years later, one of our other officers was really good friends with this person in question and slowly pulled them back in.
Mm.
And then I had to take them off ignore because they were let back in the guild, and I was staring at Jazz the whole time, and she wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't look at me. I'm like,
I
really?
wouldn't look at him.
Everyone can learn. I'm like, no, Jazz, this clown can. All right, whatever. You're gonna appease one officer at our expense. Very well. I
Yeah.
said, but if we're gonna take him off ignore, they got to take this person out of ignore. So I had to flip the script on them as well. But it's drama,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is basically what all that.
and
stuff
ultimately they
causes.
left like I knew they would. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's short term. So, that's
There. That was
Good,
uncomfortable.
Jazz.
now that we've got the blood sacrifice portion of this out of the way.
yes,
We
That
will
was gross.
summon the Kraken.
Have you ever had it where you don't know you have it and you think your nose is just running?
Just running.
Yeah.
and then you're like, uh-oh, yeah, it is just
surprise! You're
I'm
bleeding.
gonna have to, yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with bloody noses. The kids, our kids have, and Sib
Yeah.
kind of did.
I
for a
don't normally.
time.
I don't. I
Yeah.
think it's just stress.
Yeah,
because
probably.
Obviously, I'm under a lot of it right now. So
Yeah,
Ours is
No,
usually
it's
yeah. Weather changes and allergies.
it's silence.
Oh no, I think Discord's been having a few hiccups tonight. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've noted every now and then someone will cut out for a split second, and that was a longer one. Was that Sib?
I said hiccup.
That's right, baby. Speaking of hiccups, I guess we gotta go so we can go to a party or something. I don't know.
Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited.
She's
Dang.
making me socialize with people I work with outside of work, which I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It's just,
We got invited, and I originally said no because I didn't know anybody that was going. Well, then a lot of people that I like from the rule side, I found out we're going, and they're like, "You should go too." I'm like, "We got our podcast," and they're like, "Show up late." So I was like, "Well, I don't want to be rude, so I guess I should ask." And I did. The guy having the party was like, "Yeah, come on over," because I already told him we're not playing beer pong.
no, I
don't
play
drink.
beer pong.
So
And I like to drink. I don't like getting drunk.
but I would like to go over and see who wins the beer pong because we got one friend that I really like. He's
Dell?
his nephew.
Oh, Dell, yeah.
Yeah.
We can say his name. It's not like anyone's going to... Oh,
Well-
Dell, I'm going to look this guy up and stalk him with his first name.
His nephew went to see what was it? The Endgame?
Avengers Endgame, yeah.
Avengers Endgame. And he looked at the screen whenever Thor came on when he was all,
They
roughed
call him
up.
Bro Thor.
And he goes, Uncle Dale.
Oh no.
His nephew thought he was Fat Thor.
Yeah,
Dang.
he told me that. I was like, well, at least he thinks you're a god. Look on the bright side.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Uncle D.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Which is still, that's,
I mean, that's saying something. You look like a out of shape Chris Helmsworth.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
I'll take it.
I still think the best story for a childlike outburst in a movie has to be from our daughter Cheyenne seeing
Oh God.
King Kong, which Sib was. I wasn't in the picture at the time, but Sib was, and Sib will tell the story great.
We were sitting there watching King Kong.
The
And,
one
she's-
that from what was that? Who was the guy that did Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
It was the
I
new
don't know.
one, the one where it was a big King Kong. Peter
No,
Jackson. Peter
It
Jackson.
wasn't the new one. It was an older one.
Well, no, I mean you're
Okay.
right. I forgot they've done a recent King Kong. Yeah, the Peter Jackson King Kong.
But anyway,
Sorry.
no, you're okay. But we were sitting there, and she's like 5-ish, and it's where he's on the ice with the blonde chick. I don't even know who she was. I can't remember. And they're ice skating, and then he gets up and he turns to walk away, and it's so quiet because they're having their moment, and our little 5-year-old goes, "I see his cheekies." The whole theater erupts into laughter. And I'm like, I'm just like, Paris, sorry right now.
I
We laughed
his
so hard.
cheekies. I
Yeah.
still tease her for that.
Mhm.
Oh man.
And she would die if she knew we were telling that.
Oh, it's only a few hundred people. Eventually. So, all right. Well, I mean, it takes a while to download it, and I've got to have to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but edit it. But anyway, so I think that'll do it. Don't be a troll. Don't be an asshole. I mean, unless that's your
That's
character,
right.
then that's okay.
Sharing is
But don't be
caring.
an OOC asshole because your roleplay got boring and you're a terrible person.
Please don't.
To summarize the last
Please
hour and a
don't.
half.
Golden rule, y'all.
We don't want to
just
put
saying.
you on ignore.
Mm-mm. But
We
will.
are a very small group to start with. We don't need to make
Yeah.
it smaller.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, that'll do that for this episode. So with that, let's see. That I said 4 episodes left after this one. 4 episodes until the big 100. Not sure what we'll be talking about next week, but remember, go over to twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. Give us a follow or subscribe or whatever it is. I don't remember. Ring the bell, something like that.
4
you got
episodes only.
4 episodes remaining, and ending on a cliffhanger that, like Serenity, will not be concluded.
Next time on
Will
MMO
Goku
RPO
finally
Radio.
win out?
I can't say it.
Tune in
That.
next time on RPMMO Radio.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I, of course, am Ashen Phoenix, and I want to thank everybody on the crew, Jazz Sib Strafe, for showing up. I mean, you had a
Yay.
reason for not being here. I'm not, like, shaming her. Rohanar's back from the hospital, so she was spending time with him. That bitch spending time with her husband who's been sick. My
How dare
God,
she.
what a monster. Skipping out on a podcast. Speaking of trolling. So, appreciate everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And come to us next week wow. I
Good
butchered
night,
that.
everybody.
Night, folks.
Tune in
Night.
next time as we go over halflings and something, yada, yada, yada. Who gives a shit? Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMO Radio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.